Coming up in today's video, I saw an absolutely insane trade idea on social media about Chris Olave, and it sends him to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm going to give my thoughts and reaction. Going to go ahead and give you this little warning. It's going to get ugly. And on top of that, we got some roster news that we do need to discuss. But it is time for some PTO, Saints fans. I have been busting my butt, been going on, I think we're on day 11 in a row with no breaks since before the NFL draft. So I'm going to go and get some much-deserved and much-earned time in Mexico with my girlfriend and her family. So if you guys have any drink recommendations, food recommendations that I need to try out while we're at our resort, or, wandering all over the streets, I encourage you to let me know because, hey, if I find anything good, I might have to show you some extra love when I get back. So here is that absolutely ridiculous trade idea. It comes in from Jarrett Bailey, who does cover the Pittsburgh Steelers. He said, I wonder if the Saints are a team that the Steelers called. Chris Olave could be a sneaky name in all of this. Clearly, New Orleans isn't going anywhere. Maybe they'll finally acknowledge that, strip everything down, and rebuild. And I could see Chris Godwin also being a potential name. Now, I got a lot of shit to say about this one. I am not happy with this report from Jarrett Bailey because I think it's absolutely ridiculous. But before we break this all down and I give you my 100 reasons why this should never happen, I'm just going to say it right now. Absolutely not. I am not trading Chris Olave. There is nothing about me that wants to trade Chris Olave. So when you guys get down in the comments, you're like, Trace, you keep saying you want to trade Chris Olave. I'm actually rebutting that right now, and I'm arguing that right now. I have never said I want to trade Chris Olave, and I want him to be a Saint forever. I mean, look at the kid's production. It is damn good. 119 receptions, and in 2023, those numbers jumped up. The receptions also jumped up. The yards jumped up. The touchdowns jumped up. The only thing that went down was the average, but hey, I saw more targets and more opportunities, and thus I got better production on those opportunities. So I think that Chris Olave is one of those players that you just cannot get rid of. He is a special player, and you don't move on from special talent. That is the bread and butter of what bad franchises do. If you let good talent walk out the door in free agency, or you trade away really good players because you don't like how things are going, or you think that they're a little, I don't care. Chris Olave deserves the money that he is going to get paid. He deserves to get a massive payday, and he deserves to be a New Orleans Saint for life. And there's 1,000 things that I like about Chris Olave. But I had to narrow it down to these 8, and I'm not even going to go through one by one, but a few of the big things that are really important to me. The ball tracking skills are absolutely incredible. The route running is spectacular, and he has such nice speed, and that leads to him being able to find the open space and exploit defenses and take advantage of the holes. His body control is extremely impressive, and with how reliable his hands are, you can let him take over the game as the wide receiver one and as the dominant pass catcher. My favorite thing about him, though, has to be how selfless the player is. He sacrifices himself. He sacrifices his body. He risks injury to come down with the play and make the catch, and that is one of the biggest things that I admire about number 12. And I think that Chris Olave over at Boot Crew Media nailed it when he said this right here. 4 reasons, I can't count. 1, if you're rebuilding, why on earth would you ever trade a 23-year-old stud wide receiver? It's a great question, Chris. You don't. 2, the New Orleans Saints don't tank. We all know that Mickey Loomis is not a believer in tanking. We all know that the Saints will continue to kick the can down the road. We all know that the salary cap is not a problem in the eyes of the New Orleans Saints front office. And then I think that the funniest part all about that is, the argument of, well, the Saints aren't going anywhere. Chris Olave did a really good job of pointing that out. Neither are the Steelers. I'm not that impressed by Russell Wilson. He stinks. Justin Fields, sure, he's a fun player, but come on. Are you serious? No. The Steelers are in no better position than the New Orleans Saints. I'm sorry. I do not agree that the Steelers are in a better situation than New Orleans is. And then I think that this fourth point is my favorite. So Chris Olave, Boot Crew Media, again, he is absolutely awesome. He hit the nail on the head with this tweet. So I just wanted to show him some love and praise him for just a second. But sound off in the comment section. If you haven't already, I'm sure you've already voiced your opinions. But what do you think about the Chris Olave trade rumor? Do you think it's bogus? Do you think it's ridiculous? Or are you actually maybe interested in getting some extra draft capital and maybe a really nice player in return for a Chris Olave trade? This is your chance to share your thoughts and let me know down in the comments. And while you're down there, we got a link available for Chris Olave jerseys. Go to chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. Not only do we have the white jerseys, we also have the home blacks. We have the color rush. We have throwbacks. You got all of the team's greats. You got the current players. You got the draft picks. So if you want to go get geared up for this season, chatsports.com/Saints jerseys is the place to do it. So kicking things off and rounding out the video with some news around the team. We started off rumors. Now it's time to talk news. So the thumbnail, news and rumors, yeah, there you go. Roster news. The New Orleans Saints have signed defensive back Will Harris, who spent his entire career with the Detroit Lions. Now, here is a little bit more of a deep dive on the newest member of the Black and Gold. He was a third-round pick back in 2019, and it is going to just be a one-year deal. We don't know the exact contract details, but I don't assume it's going to be anything major. He is a really versatile player, though, and he can play anywhere on the defense in terms of a defensive back. Whether you want it to be in the box, whether you want it to be in the slot, whether you want it to be corner, free safety, defensive line, wherever, you can line Will Harris up there and he'll be effective. And on top of that, he's also a big-time contributor on special teams. And I do know that the New Orleans Saints value that in a player. And if you can contribute on special teams, that alone is going to raise your stock in the eyes of the coaching staff and in the front office. And I do believe that this is a special team signing. I don't think that this is a player that's going to be a starting safety. I don't think that this is a player that is going to go into the rotation on a regular basis. But if you need him to play a few snaps, like he is somebody who can be serviceable and can be a good filler for, somebody needs to take a water break, retie their shoe, or if there's an injury or something. And John Sigler over at Saints Wire, he did a good job of pointing this part out. I think it's a good comparison of, it's like Jonathan Abram. He's not going to be a starting safety, but throw him in the mix. Yeah, special teams value. Why the hell not? But in terms of his career, I really like how versatile he is. I was actually surprised to see how much or how many different spots and how often he lines up in all of these spots. It's not just he's a deep free safety, or he's not just a slot guy. He doesn't play just in the box. He doesn't play just corner. He does a lot of it for all four of them. Like no position on this screen has less than 400 snaps, and that's pretty impressive if you ask me. And the production for Harris, it's nothing really that crazy, but 6'1", 207 pounds. This is a guy that could be a good filler for the nickel role and to play in the middle of the defensive back groups. 2 pass breakups, 1 interception last year for the Lions. And here's where he sits on the current depth chart. He's in that nickel back spot behind Alontae Taylor and above Ugo Amadi. Now, in terms of whether or not one of those two will make the roster, that's a different story. I think that Ugo Amadi does have some value. He did have an interception for the Saints last year, but Harris is also a good player, and I think that could be a good fill-in. And I will say this, just keep looking at this depth chart. We focused in on the nickelback position, but look at the safety spot, because I don't think that the New Orleans Saints need to be done. And when this news came out and I put out the short and I posted about it on social media, a lot of people were like, why are we signing these no-name guys? What is this all about? Stop getting training camp bodies. Stop getting special teams guys. I want a big-time player. Well, here's the thing. I don't think that they're done yet with the depth chart. No sleep till Justin Simmons. The Beastie Boys said it best when they said no sleep till Brooklyn. But I'm rewriting it. No sleep till Justin Simmons. I will not rest until I see Justin Simmons sign with the New Orleans Saints. I want YouTube to know every single person in the black and gold that reps the Who Dat Nation wants to sign Justin Simmons. And I want to make this the biggest trending story among Saints fans. So let's get it trending on social media. Tweet out hashtag Saint Simmons and then tag the Saints, and I'm going to go ahead and give you a retweet. You don't even have to tag me because I'm going to be searching the hashtag. So if you go and post this, we're going to get this thing trending, and we're going to get the New Orleans Saints to sign Justin Simmons. So help me out. Let's make it happen, and y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.